Wikipedia then let me know that Huawei has become the largest telecommunications equipment manufacturer in the world. And as of July 2020, they surpassed both Samsung and Apple to become the top smartphone brand in the world. So is that why we hate them? Because they're winning? Well, that's part of it. But Samsung is winning too, and we aren't grabbing their executives in airport lounges and giving them cavity searches. I mean, we are, but it's mainly for fun, you know, pleasure, not business. The real reason Huawei is so dangerous is because it's winning and, wait for it, it's owned by its workers. That's right. Here's from their website. Huawei is wholly owned by its employees, with 96,768 shareholding employees. Ren Zhengfei, the founder and head of Huawei, only owns 1% of the shares. Compare that to Amazon, where Jeff Bezos owns 10% of the shares, and the vast majority of the workers own 0. They have no say in the operation of the company, and the vast majority of the other 90% of Amazon shares are owned by rich dickholes. Huawei goes on to say on their website, no third party controls Huawei. And look, I'm not in the business of doing propaganda for China, so I won't claim that this corporation is doing the angels' work or that there aren't any shitty business practices just like American corporations. I mean, I imagine the conflict minerals in Huawei phones were probably mined by 6-year-olds wearing dirty Power Ranger t-shirts, getting paid in M&Ms, just like our American phones. I doubt it's much different. But if the fact that Huawei is owned by its workers is even remotely true, which it is, then it's a huge threat to the American corporatocracy. It undermines every patriotic piece of bullshit we're sold about how we're supposed to enthusiastically inhale the exhaust from Amazon trucks in order to live up to our full potential as Americans. And how getting paid less than the cost of a bag of Doritos per hour is a king's ransom compared to all other countries. The fact that Huawei is worker-owned also goes against the U.S. and Western media propaganda that Huawei is a dastardly Chinese government plot. Whenever the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or what have you poops out an article about Huawei, they throw in terms like complicated, the complicated corporate structure. It's really not that complicated. It's certainly not more complicated than U.S. corporate structure that looks like a fucking M.C. Escher painting so that they can avoid paying taxes in America. Yeah, on paper we're owned entirely by a guy in Ireland who cleans toilets at an elementary school. But we've never actually told him that he owns the company, and the money doesn't go to him. It gets routed through a paper mill in Caracas, then on to an S&M sex dungeon in Paris, and then to a holding company in the Cayman Islands. It's really quite simple. Our media also love to point out that the founder of Huawei, who only has a 1% stake, is former Chinese military. In Western media, they say that fact in this tone. Mr. Zhang Fei is former Chinese military, blah! And then blood and snakes and snot and leeches pour out of their mouths as they say it. Meanwhile, whenever someone in the U.S. corporate world is former U.S. military, they are introduced as, he's former military! How awesome is that? Maybe we can all suck on him right now so we can get some of that sweet, sweet patriotism. You see the difference? Furthermore, these U.S. media propaganda pieces make the average reader think, oh my God, he's former Chinese military. How dare a corporation be connected to the country's military? Yes, exactly. Large corporations like Amazon, Google, IBM, they have no connections to U.S. military. They would sooner eat their hats than be connected to the most murderous military on earth, I dare say. Oh, except they're totally connected to our military and our CIA. In fact, just the other day, I reported how the CIA announced secretive technology contracts worth tens of billions of dollars with Amazon, Google, IBM, Oracle, and others. And these are just some of the massive contracts that link Google, Amazon, etc. with our military. So let me see if I have this straight. When corporations align with the largest mass murderer machine ever created, they're doing awesome, raking in billions while doing their patriotic duty. But when a corporation's founder is former military in China, he's a James Bond villain who shoots children in their sleep and has gold-plated teeth and probably a villainous catchphrase. Like, we wouldn't want that, now would we? So the true reason Huawei is so fucking dangerous to the American corporatocracy is because it is worker-owned. It is the threat of the good example. If American workers suddenly realize that one of the most successful companies in the world is worker-owned, then they may want the same. They may not want to be on the bottom rung of a totalitarian ladder of abuse. You see, we don't talk about it that much, but U.S. corporations are set up in a fully totalitarian structure. There's no election by the workers. There's no control to the workers. And as economist Richard Wolff has said, if a company is owned by the workers, then they wouldn't vote for their jobs to be outsourced. They wouldn't vote for their pay to be cut or their lives to be ruined by the company. They wouldn't vote for their health care to suck balls. They wouldn't vote to pollute their community so much that all their kids come out with 3 eyeballs and the IQ of a bucket of soapy water. They also wouldn't vote for Amazon robots to zap them in the ass with a taser every time they go too slow. And there are some worker co-ops in the U.S. The largest one is Cooperative Home Care Associates, which has 2,300 workers who enjoy good wages, regular hours, and family health insurance. Basically, having worker ownership of companies is the answer to a ton of our problems. It's not the answer to all of them. Obviously, Huawei still produces millions of phones that are then thrown away each year, totally destroying the planet, just like our phone producers. So having worker ownership in a market economy will not save the world, but it would help a lot of people. And once the workers have that power and that success, they may use that power to have some control in the government and actually change things for the better. But we wouldn't want that, now would we? Much better to get paid in bathroom breaks and have a GoFundMe retirement plan.